Thanks for hanging out with us. Sit down for a moment. Who are you and why are you here?
Yeah, I'm Jason Pistulka. I AVP of TA operations for HCA Healthcare. Part of the reason why I'm here is because my office is a few miles down the road.
Convenient.
So yeah, it makes it easy. And speaking some this afternoon, but a large contingent of the HCA team is here at the conference. Came last year. Enjoyed it, but so yeah, it's on my regular conference tour now. So
nice. Well, especially since it's here. So, right out of the gate, moving forward into 2025, what piece of advice would you give your TA peers for moving forward in 2025?
To me, the biggest gap that exists in almost every recruiting organization out there is operational excellence.
Yeah.
When you look at lots of people try to bring a magic pill in to solve all their problems, but most of their problems still come lack of operational excellence.
Yeah.
And there is no magic pill to solve for that. So mostly now everybody's promising the entire world with AI, how AI can solve everything. I say AI has two definitions, artificial intelligence or artificial ignorance, and there's a lot of artificial ignorance being sold out there.
Yeah.
A lot of people who had, a simple keyword matching that they decided we're going to rebrand it to AI because that's what the cool thing is.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people I think are chasing phantom wishes to solve their problems that, again, their long pole in the tent comes back to that operational excellence, whether that be within their own recruiting teams or within their hiring teams.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for that startup that has we use no AI whatsoever on their website. I'm always intrigued in healthcare from a branding perspective. As an outsider, this hospital system, this system, like they all look the same.
Yep.
You're not Coke and Pepsi. How do you look at branding and separating yourself from the other options that are out there?
It's a multifaceted story with HCA because some of our hospitals do have an HCA brand on them, but a huge portion of them don't at all. When you buy if we were to buy Vanderbilt, we wouldn't want to strip Vanderbilt off and slap HCA on it, right? So it depends on what market you're in. If you're in Austin, we're St. David's. If you're in Denver, it's Swedish Medical Center. So in some cases, our hospitals have a great brand. They're offering premium services that aren't available in other markets. Other hospitals are more of a community hospital, and they don't have the same kind of pizzazz that a big name brand hospital can have. When we're selling to candidates, though, the thing where we as HCA can sell is on scale and excellence. So as I like to tell people, HCA births more babies in Sweden and Switzerland combined. That means something to people. As a result, we know how to run a labor and delivery center like no other. And if you're in a community hospital in New Hampshire, you're getting the benefit of that company-wide knowledge. We have AI teams that analyze and can identify early onset of sepsis and things of that nature. And all of that excellence is pushed out to the smallest of hospitals out there, which is why, if you look at health grades for hospitals, our hospitals outscore the average hospital in the country, and it's because of that operational excellence that we drive as an organization, which is interesting on the HR side because we have leaders that are so used to data and excellence and prove it to me that it makes us to have to be just as data savvy as they are in the clinical world.
Right. So in 2024, looking back, what surprised you the most?
What surprised me the most in 2024? It's hard to surprise me after COVID and dealing with
being in healthcare, I bet. Yes.
Well, so if anything, I guess what surprised me the most is that we came back to a sense of normality.
Okay.
And so if you look at before COVID, we had about 25,000 open jobs.
Okay.
We peaked in COVID at 43,000 open jobs. We're back into that upper 20s again.
Okay.
We're back to more typical turnovers and everything else. And it felt like we wouldn't get there as quickly as we did. So I'd say that's probably my biggest surprise. That the market has improved significantly for us in employment. Normal, I guess, is what's surprising me because I've been stuck in abnormal for quite a long time. And we hired, during our peak, we hired 200 new recruiters in a year. So we were onboarding, and just running at such a pace that kind of everything in comparison right now, I hate to say seems easy. I don't want our senior leadership to see that, but
It's not easy.
In comparison to that, you know, that was a stressful time.
Yeah.
We talked to a lot of vendors, people who are selling you stuff. You mentioned hiring a lot of recruiters. I'm sure you get a ton of calls. They're not hiring technical people the way they used to. The economy's slowing down in some places, but healthcare is that beacon of money, that pot of gold that vendors want to get. Talk about how you filter the services with the number of recruiters you have. Is there a process? Is there a testing period? Like, talk about that.
The typical vendor does not operate on scale very well. And they try to take, I was just having this conversation with Jeremy from Recruitment. They try to take their model that worked in financial services or worked in IT, where when I worked in that space, you know, we were spending $10,000 a hire, right?
Yeah.
And bring that model into healthcare, where our cost is a fraction of that. We operate at a whole different level of efficiency. And the recruiters carry a significantly different rec load. So you can't expect the same level of recruiter behavior and engagement in your tool when you're carrying 100 recs as you do with somebody who's carrying 15 IT recs. So they don't think about how that scales financially as well as actual adoption-wise in an organization. And they don't think about how do you make that adoption happen across a huge team. I mean, we have 20-ish divisions of recruiters that sit all over the country. And I compare to when I ran a team in the pit, and we all sat in the pit, and I could hear every conversation, I could drive everything. It's completely different when you have to monitor and drive through data. So how do you provide the data and the guidance to a team like us to drive that? And what we find is most people can't. What we do is we educate them on here's how we do it. We educate them on the needs and we build them capabilities, which is probably the biggest reason why so many people end up really loving being with HCA and valuing HCA, is because we drive them to make them better. We typically break their software, and we typically find all of their warts. So many of our vendors, we will identify problems before they know it's a problem, because no other customer was big enough to hit it. Because it only happens 1 out of every 5,000 applicants or whatever. Well, when you're our size and you get 3.5 million applicants a year, that happens on quite frequent. So
scale.
Yeah, so that level of scale ends up really giving vendors chops and see the world in a different way of how do you do change management, how do you do adoption, how do you build tools to do that. And so it's one of the things that I personally enjoy is being that product consultant back into them. And here's why you need to think this way, and here's the challenges of a large organization.
So let's look forward to 2025 for you. What is going to be your top priority?
Yeah, well, my top priority, we're delivering a roadmap. It's a talent transformation effort that we've been working on for 2 years, and we're just coming into the piloting phase this fall. And we'll start rolling out more broadly after the first year. I'm actually leaving the organization at the end of Q1. So I'm trying to get as much of that laid out before I do and get those tracks laid.
Nice.
So a huge portion of what I'm doing at this point is trying to make sure that the organization is well positioned. And this has been a multi-year process.
Now, is this
for me.
tech as well being rolled out along with this?
Yes.
So that's a big undertaking.
It is. We have multiple avenues. One, we're going from a single workflow to multiple workflows in our ATS, which is a huge lift and shift.
But smart.
Yep. We're doing a huge automation effort in on-site interviewing that we're using Sense to do. And that is a custom build that we're doing that is going to allow recruiters to have most of it automatically driven right out of the ATS and capture really great data for us, again, to recognize the bad human behavior that happens in the field. We've already rolled out BrightHire across our whole organization that we're using for call quality across, not just interviewing though, offer extensions. We're going to start doing it for intake sessions, et cetera, because again, we're trying to speed to first conversation, quality of first conversation, speed to interview. That's what our whole impact is in this transformation effort. And it's been exciting and challenging.
bet.
Automation. You talked about it from a recruiting side.
Yep.
Where most industries, I think, are fearful of automation. You know, if a robot can flip burgers, you don't need a cook. But I feel like in healthcare, I would want to work in a system that had tools that would help me do my job better, take away some of the monotonous work. How do you as an organization or as a system think about automation, and how does that tie into recruiting? You're going to be working with the best tools with us. You're going to be innovative. How do you look at automation from the big picture to the employee coming in?
Yeah, I mean, in recruiting on the automation front, what I've found is so many people don't use the tools that they have. The number of, I get solicited obviously for jobs. One of my favorite things to do is go out and apply for a job on their website. And when I see these major corporations that don't ask any job-specific knockout questions, don't do anything,
Oh, yeah.
and you're saying, you're making your recruiters review every applicant.
Yeah.
And not only can you ask the question so I can stack rank and mass disposition, but in most ATSs, you can even automate disposition actions on those things.
Yeah.
So people aren't using the basic automation that they do. So they're out there searching for AI.
Yeah.
When I say you don't need AI, some of the automations that you already have at your hands are so helpful. And so we've done a lot in that space. We've always been big users of knockout questions and things of that nature. We have a new function that's rolling out that's going to be automated compensation knockout for our recruiters. We custom built with our vendor. It's really cool. And then we're using Sense Journeys to build some automation follow-ups with people. So we're going to have automations that after an interview happens, say 60, 90 minutes delayed, we'll send a text to the hiring manager and saying, do you want to hire this person? 1, 2, 3, 4, and then automatically update in the ATS what those things are. So none of that's AI, it's just all automation and using different things. And so many companies, including HCA, we're skeptical of AI. Obviously, there's a lot of legal issues with AI and how you're using it in applicants. And there's studies that are showing that candidates don't like or trust AI. And now with in these states where you have to say, well, here's how we're using it, I don't care for the AI on candidate selection just from the candidate experience piece. And I kind of want to keep it out of that funnel. But that doesn't mean there isn't all kinds of automation that can make your recruiters faster, more efficient, more accurate, and get yourself to better results. And those are things that we have pursued and we continue to pursue.
100% agree. Well, thank you so much for sitting down with us. If somebody wants to connect with you or, I don't know, maybe apply for a job, where would you send them?
Yeah, go to connect with me. I'm easy enough to find on LinkedIn, and happy to accept that connection. If you just search for Careers HCA, we will pop up. We're well advertised out there, and we operate in 20 states, so we got a lot of jobs floating around out there. So,
Excellent.
Well, enjoy the show. Thanks
all
for
right.
hanging out.
Thanks, guys.
Take care.